essentially you have to realize that whatever happens to you, you have to be able to tell yourself, this is happening for me. This isn't happening to me. Welcome to the Alpha Social Club. I am your host, Esteban. Thank you for joining me again. I really appreciate you guys spending time listening to this. If you guys are working, wherever you're at, just know that there's somebody out there that cares about you guys. I consider you guys my friends that I've never met, and I'm doing this for you guys. Just want to give you guys a reminder. Check out the official website of the Alpha Social Club. You go to www.ascpodcast.com. And there you could find ways to communicate with me. You can send me any questions, any feedback would be appreciated. I added a music section to that. You could check out some of the music that I've done throughout my life, some of the music videos that I recently did, and just overall, everything that I'm doing. I'm just trying to be really transparent with you guys. I'm not trying to front. I don't know everything. I'm a student. I'm not a professional. I'm just somebody that cares. And I like to listen. I like to help people. I there's a center in Culver City, which is not too far from my house, and they're sort of a suicide prevention hotline. Forget the name of it, but I sent them an email and I told them that I wanted to volunteer. So I'm pretty excited that I started in 2019. I started my training for that. It's like a 6 week training, and then I have to volunteer for I think 4 hours a day. Whatever I learn from there, I'm gonna use it in this podcast, and with some of you guys that call in and feeling like life's not fair, and that you guys don't know how to get out of it. I definitely want to try to provide tools that might help you guys and make you guys realize that you're more important than you think. You're more powerful than you think. That person that you want to become is already inside of you. You just have to be able to tap into it. It doesn't come from outside. Your happiness is not going to come from outside. You can say, yeah, if I won the lotto, I would be really happy, but you really wouldn't, because that's looking for happiness outside of yourself, and you essentially you become a gambling man at that point. If you say that your partner completes you, think about how that sounds. Yeah, this person completes me. I love this person. What happens when that person cheats on you or that person leaves you? Where are you left? You're left by yourself. And that's the only person that should make you happy is the person that you are. I'm not saying the person that you are with your mom, the person you are with your friends, the person you are with your lover, person that you are when there's nobody around. That person that you have to, be around when you finally make it to bed at night and the lights are off, and you're thinking about how your day went. That's the person that matters. That's the person that you have to change. And I always like to say, don't be yourself, become yourself. Because being yourself, it got you where you're at right now. You have to become yourself. Life is about learning, and it's also about suffering, according to the Buddhists. Life is suffering. It's also perspective, because it's not suffering until you label it suffering, you know? It's what you make of it. It's what you have control in dictating how you're going to feel, in certain situations. The Stoics, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, these guys all essentially believe that the only thing you can control is how you react to certain situations. I know Ryan Holiday talks about this as well. He says that you can't control the rain. The only thing you can control is how you act under the rain. You know, you can't control traffic. You could only control how you get to, like, the way that you get through traffic. You know, if you're listening to this podcast in traffic, I mean that's you're utilizing that time bettering yourself and learning instead of complaining about traffic, you know? So essentially all the answers that we need are inside of ourselves. We just have to be able to tap into that, and that's what this podcast is all about. That's what the Alpha Social Club is. And everybody's a member, providing tools that can help you along your way. You know, it's not going to change your life because you have to do the work yourself. It's a consistent battle. You can't expect to have a six pack if you only work out once every 2 months and eat like shit all the time. You have to be consistent. It's the same with taking control over your current situation. Is you have to be consistent. It starts from the moment you wake up. I like to stay away from any form of social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. I like to stay off of that for the first 4 hours of my day. So I just spend time on my own to myself, you know. I wake up at 3:30 and I'm at the gym by 5:15. I just open my phone to go on YouTube to listen to podcasts, listen to music sometimes, you know, just to pump me out. You know, but I don't really listen to that much music anymore, to be honest. I mean, I still listen to it, but just being a musician, I mean, you kind of see things, hear things a little different, you know. I have a buddy that's a cinematographer, and he talks about it when he watches movies. He's just constantly focusing on the cameras, what kind of cameras they used. If he doesn't like the way they edit it just kind of irritates him. And I think a little bit I'm like that with music. I'm able to listen to a song and completely dissect where every instrument's at, and I can't help but wonder what kind of mics were used, what kind of guitar amps were used. I'm wondering why they use so much treble. Like, as you know, so I'm like, you know, I'm just thinking the audiobooks, just keeping it simple, you know. But it all starts every day is a every day is a journey, you know. You pretty much live a lifetime on a daily basis. I mean, you wake up, you're born, you live your day, and then you go to sleep, which is pretty much what death is. You have control over how your day's gonna be, you know? And instead of competing with other people, you gotta compete with the person you were on the previous day to become the person that you wanna be on the next day. There's no need to worry about what other people are doing. We're writing our own book at our own pace. You know, some people can still be in the introduction, others can be in the chapter 3, others are already ending their books. We're all in a different path in our lives. We can't expect to be in a certain situation that's not meant for us at that moment. You know, and I feel like we sometimes we live through other people and expect for us to have the same things as other people and not realize that there's people out there that are grinding hard, you know. When I first woke up at 4:30 to go to the gym, I thought I was a badass, you know. I'm waking up, I got my pre-workout, it's still dark, it's cold. Oh man, I'm doing something good. And as soon as I walked into that gym, there was people already sweating. There's people already in it. These people, they're already on their 10th set. You know, there's people walking out of the gym already. So there's some hardcore people out there, you know? And these are the same people that we're competing with when we go apply to these jobs, when we're on Indeed, when we're on Monster, wherever we're at, when we're competing in the dating scene. It's the people with these work ethics are the ones that are getting into these situations, you know? And every day matters. Every second matters. You know, you got to ask yourself, am I building or am I collapsing? What am I doing right now at this very moment? Because you're working towards one or the other. You can't be coasting. So you're either on a negative streak or you're either on a positive streak. There's something called placebo, which your mind thinks that it's going to heal himself or herself. And there's also something called nocebo, which is negative thoughts. As powerful as a placebo is, the nocebo is just as powerful. So if you start having negative thoughts and you're always complaining, guess what? It's just a domino effect. Your life is gonna be miserable. You wake up late for work and you're rushing. You brush your teeth. You stain your shirt with toothpaste, and then you get in your car and you forget that you still had to put gas. You go to the gas station and you miss your exit. I mean, it just kind of piles up. So if you're listening to this right now, you just gotta analyze, how am I feeling right now? And don't be vague about it, because our bodies don't know the difference, you know? Our bodies create the same chemical. If a lion's threatening to eat us, or if you're walking into your boss's office and you're nervous, our bodies don't know the difference. So it's very important to try to exactly pinpoint what it is that you're feeling, because we get pretty dramatic sometimes. We start exaggerating, and that's when the nocebo kicks in. That's why, like, if I have like any kind of issues as far as like a headache or anything like that, I analyze and I look at myself and I think, okay, I didn't drink enough water today. I don't go on Google if I have a headache. Did I end up with a brain tumor? If I Google what causes headaches, all of a sudden I'm trying to get to the ER. It's you over exaggerate, the situation, and it's definitely important to know exactly what you're feeling. You know, Every, 2 times a day, just check in with yourself. What is it that I'm feeling? If you're feeling scared, try to figure out exactly why you're scared. And if you can get to that point and figure out what is it that's scaring you, just try to figure out, don't say I want to do this, because when you formulate it that way, it 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 doesn't work, you know? You have to formulate it in a question. So if your biggest stress is money, don't say I need more money or I want more money. Ask yourself, how can I make more money? How can I get more money? How can I get myself into this job? How can I buy this car? How can I get how? When you ask yourself these kind of questions, how, your brain just starts working. Your brain says, "Hey, this guy needs this. Let's do this." But if you say, I want more money. I want more money. I need more money. There's this psychologist in the University of Austin named, I think his name's James W. Pennebaker. I think that's his name. He talks about how the average human, the average person, I think, knows between 25 to 30,000 words. That's how many words we have in our vocabulary. And I was just blown away. I think he actually said about 150,000, and I was like, dude, that sounds like a lot. I might be wrong, but I think he said like 150,000 words. And I was like, dude, we can't know that many words. So if I remember correctly, I Googled it and it said about maybe 25 to 30,000 words. But like I said, I could be wrong. But the point is that we know a lot of words. And the most common used word is I. We use I a lot. That particular professor, he did a study on poets that commit suicide, and he was able to link the the high amount of use of the word I in their later poems before they committed suicide. And that's also attributed to people that are in a lower kind of social bracket, is they use I a lot. I need this, I want that. I, you know? Think about what the 1% is, the percentage of people that everybody hates. I don't hate them, but there's a lot of people that talk all this stuff about the 1%. But ask yourself, what did they do to get to that 1% status? You might say, well, yeah, they're selfish. They just thought about themselves. But just think about what business is. If you've ever had a business or ever started a business, you understand this concept. You don't say I want more money. You know, you have to realize that money is the byproduct of work and a product that sells or an invention that sells, a service that sells. The byproduct of that is money. So don't focus on the money. Most of the times, these people formulate they formulate their vision as, what do people need? What can I do to make people's lives easier? You're not saying I want more money, I want this mansion, I want this yacht. You think Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, you think these guys didn't think, what can I do to make life for humans easier? That's not saying I. That's what the 1% has on everybody else, is that they understand that concept. They understand that they need to not use I as often as everybody else. What do people need? Whatever industry that you want to get into, that's one of the first questions that you have to ask yourself. What can I do to make people's lives easier in this or that? What can I do to make this current product easier to use? So what you're doing is you're coming out of what you want and you're trying to get into people's heads to see what you can do to facilitate their lives and make it easier for them to do certain tasks or just live their life. So you're thinking of other people. And that's why the 1% is the 1%, because they understand that formula. And you can adapt that into your life too. I mean, if making money is not what you want to do, it's not your final goal, there's still nothing harmful about not using I as much as most. What can I do to make this person like me? What can I do to get this job? How can I get this job? How can I make this person like me? How can I make my mom happy today? How can I make my girlfriend happy? Like, you understand that and it just changes your life completely. It's stuff like that I want to talk about in this podcast. Just little things that I've done in my life that I implemented that have made a huge difference. I come from a rough neighborhood, dude. I was born, and sorry for you guys that aren't in California if I use the word dude a lot. I guess I fit the stereotype out here, even though I don't surf, but it's just the culture that I was born in. I come from Mexican parents. I was born in Torrance, California. My parents are immigrants legally. For those of you that give a shit, they came in under Reagan back in the 80s. I was obsessed with statistics at a young age, and it wasn't because I was obsessed with numbers. It wasn't I didn't want to become an accountant. I was obsessed with statistics because I didn't want to become a statistic. I don't want to be a teen parent. I don't want to be a teen that gets killed. I don't want to be a dropout. you know, a criminal record. Like that was what was around me. And the only thing that I feel got me through that, because I mean I have everything that I need and experiences to be able to use whatever it is as an excuse. If I could easily be a drug addict and say, well, it was because I had a rough life. But you know what? Everybody has a fucking rough life. But I was able to get out of it, and I thank music for that. I started playing music at a young age. I think I was around 9 or 10 when I started playing. It wasn't because I wanted to. It was because my dad would. He always had an acoustic guitar laying around, and he would just get too wasted to play with his friends. And he showed me a few chords, in the Mexican library. As far as the folk music, all you need is 2 or 3 chords, and you can play every single song in that library. So that's what my dad taught me, and he would wake me up I slept in the living room. I didn't know what it was like to sleep in a bed till I was 20 and I moved out. So I slept in the couch all the time. We grew up in a one bedroom. It was five of us. And so it was easy for him to just wake me up. I was already there. And then he would have me play guitar for his friends that were too wasted to play. And I hated it at first, but eventually I found bands that I was into. It was the early 90s. Nirvana came out, Pro Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, STP, all these cool bands that I was into, and then I just started playing music, music that I like. And and that was my first ticket out. I was like, dude, this is it. This is what I'm gonna do to get out of this neighborhood. And I'm still involved. If you guys go to the ascpodcast.com, which is the website for this podcast, I added some music links so you guys can see what I'm doing. I just want to be transparent with you guys, so you guys can check out all the stuff that I'm doing. And I still run into musicians all the time, and they always ask me what my influences were or are. And even though I loved the greats that everybody knows, that wasn't really my influence. My influence, from a young age, I was able to use my surroundings as fuel and as my influence to get out of the situation that I was in. I was in a roach infested apartment. There was rats everywhere. I couldn't even have anybody over. So I mean, not that I had a lot of friends, but if somebody came over, there was like this asshole roach that always came out just to be an ass. And I remember I would have my friends over sitting on the couch, and I would look in the wall and see this roach crawling. That's what I lived. That's what I grew up in. My dad's schizophrenic, alcoholic. He was abusive physically and mentally. I saw my mom from a young age. She would get beat by him. He didn't care, dude. But I'm really thankful though that I went through that. You know, I'm really thankful that I had those experiences. I went to a hypnotherapy, and that's where they taught me that I needed to go through that to become the person that I am now. Maybe, who knows? Maybe if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't even start this. I would just be selfish and think of I. But I have to really thank my experiences as a kid. That's what's given me everything that I have now, and I appreciate everything that I have. I'm able to look back and something that hypnotherapy taught me is to remember a traumatic incident, and instead of feeling emotional, negative emotions from it, they showed me how to rewire or rewrite that memory. So instead of thinking of how I felt, I just think about what I learned from that and the person that I've become because of that. And it's very important for you guys to do that as well. Is if you have any issues from your past, is you have to reprogram those memories in your brain, and instead of thinking about how you felt, just try to think about what you learned from that, because essentially you have to realize that whatever happens to you, you have to be able to tell yourself, this is happening for me. This isn't happening to me. Because everything's a lesson. Everything's a lesson in this life. The Buddhists say that this life is suffering. We're not meant to coast on with a happy mood. Like that's just look at people that are like really happy all the time. You're like, dude, that's weird. Like, why are you like smiling right now, dude? I'm just trying to ask you to pass the salt. We're not meant to always be happy, but we're meant to learn from whatever happens to us because it happens for us. It doesn't happen to us. Those are really important shifts that completely change your reality and completely change the way that you process whatever it is that you go through. You have to always remember that it happens for you, not to you. And so it's important to clear up all that stuff that we have that's making the adults that we are, because according to Bruce Lipton, 95% of our day is governed by the subconscious mind, and that mind gets formatted and programmed from birth to the age of 7. So according to Bruce Lipton and a lot of other guys, you're the way you are right now because of the way you were as a kid. So if you don't reprogram yourself, then you're just gonna always do the same thing, you know? And so it's very important, you know? Sometimes you realize that our parents didn't know everything, and it's okay because they did the best they could with what they knew. You know, I had to really, really go into like why my dad was the way he was, and it's because, you know, he was on his way to become a pro soccer player, and his family took that from him and said, "No, you're gonna work for the family. You're not gonna play soccer, dude. Nobody even plays soccer. That's one of those things that was like, that's not a secure job." So they took that dream away from him, and that's what made him get into alcohol. That, and when I think he was still an infant, but apparently the house that he grew up in burned, and he saw his sister burn alive, and that traumatized him. He didn't speak till he was 8 or 9 years old. So you have that trauma as a child, and then, you know, the old school, old fashioned parenting that his parents had, and then they took that dream away from him. I mean, yeah, I would beat myself too if that was my life. So I had to understand where he came from. Sometimes you guys blame your parents or somebody in your past for being shitty and treating you the way that you are. But like I said earlier, it's all I. Have you ever asked yourself or asked them what did they go through? Like why are they like that? It's communication, you know? You can't assume that they hate you. We make a lot of assumptions. We don't ask questions. Making assumptions it's a terrible thing to do. Don Miguel Ruiz talks about that in his book, The Four Agreements. One of the agreements is don't make assumptions. Look how many assumptions we make all the time. If somebody doesn't text us back or doesn't call us, we're already assuming that they don't like us. If something happens, we're already making up stories, and our bodies don't know the difference between a real stress and a fabricated stress. So guess what? They hate us, right? And we do this to ourselves. I just want you guys to know that I'm here for you guys. I'm not an expert, like I said, but we can go through your stuff together. You can get in contact with me at the ascpodcast.com. Alphasocialclub.com was taken, assholes. So I had to do the ascpodcast.com. And there you can get information. I built the site, and I'm doing all the editing for this and doing all the recording myself. So bear with me if the audio sucks, if the website looks lame. I just thought it was important to get this out, and I apologize if it's not to your standards, but I'll take any feedback. I'm always a student. I'm always here to listen, and hopefully we can connect, and hopefully you guys continue listening, because if you're listening right now, I'm doing this for you, and I'm here for you. I love you guys. It's gonna be okay. Don't stress over things. Just try to figure out how to reword, you know, the situation, or how you process the situation. The world's not ending. It's a good time to be alive. There's a lot of resources out there. You know, there's a lot of information, which is good and bad, but you have to always look at the positives. I'm very optimistic in the future of humanity. I don't really watch the news. I don't really give a shit. I used to think that, oh man, I'm such a loser. I don't know anything about politics, and now I don't even want to entertain the conversation, because, you know, I feel like a lot of people expect politicians to take care of stuff that's their responsibility, you know? Everybody's a political analyst now. I'm not going to get into politics because I'm not here to complain about what other people do with their lives. I definitely feel that you can't rely on government or somebody outside of yourself to figure out your problems. You know, because if you're in your late 30s like I am, you've been an adult for three or four presidents, and if your life still sucks, then it has nothing to do with who's president. You gotta take responsibility for your shit and take control over your life because chances are that you have people around you that need for you to step it up, and that's why there's alpha in the name of this, because this is the Alpha Social Club. It's your responsibility to change so you can change the people around you and not change them around you to influence them to think like you, but to empower them because nobody can change. Somebody can't change you. You have to change yourself, and you have to always remember that. If you want to change somebody else, all you can do is provide tools that might help them, but you don't change them. And if you think you change them, then you have ego that's taking over your thoughts, and then you might need some mushrooms to eat or something, or go down to Peru and do some ayahuasca to take control over that ego, because you don't change people; they change themselves. You know? Yeah, just hit me up on the ascpodcast.com. You should see my Instagram and all my music stuff, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from you guys. I want you guys to know that I'm doing this from the heart. I'm not getting anything out of this. I'm just hopefully we can get a community going and help each other, you know. So I'll take any suggestions. I'll read all the emails that come in, and there's nobody on staff. It's just me. So if you hear from me, it's actually me. It's not anybody else. And I just always want to be transparent with you guys. So if it's nighttime, have a good night. If it's daytime, have a good day. If it's morning, good morning. And try to make it the best day you've had. Tomorrow's a new day. Peace.